to the Bell & Gossett podcast, live from the 2020 AHR Expo. I'm your host, Amanda Holloway, joined by Griffin Goda, and throughout the show, we'll have some fantastic guests and topics to share with you in this series, including several of our manufacturers, reps, and Xylem experts. You'll get insights into the trends they're seeing in the HVAC and plumbing industry. Enjoy the show. Hi, I'm here at AHR 2020 in Orlando. I'm with Bob Polizzi and Sunday Perez from CHC. And I just wanted to welcome you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you want to start by just giving us an overview of what you do at CHC and how long you've been a Bell & Gossett rep.
Thank you very much for inviting us. And again, I'm Bob Polizzi with CHC. And I've been with CHC selling Bell & Gossett since 1990. I've pretty much been in this business my whole career. And the relationship with Bell & Gossett, Xylem, has been fantastic.
And what territories does CHC serve?
CHC covers 7 states.
Okay.
You know, we have 9 offices in 7 states. We cover Northern California, Northern Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Montana, and Western Idaho.
Wow.
And so we have a pretty vast territory. And like I said, we have offices, throughout that territory, and it's a great group of people.
That's awesome. My next question was going to be, what are a couple priorities that your customers are looking for in their installations? But I wonder if it varies greatly because you've got folks in Alaska, which has a much different climate
yes.
than potentially Southern California, for example.
Well, if you look at our territory, if you're looking at Northern California, the Northwest, as in Washington and Oregon,
okay.
Decarbonization is growing real fast. The engineers, the contractors are coming to us, asking what to do, how we're going to address that. Alaska is primarily the business is military and oil.
Okay.
And, we're not seeing it up there, but, throughout the other parts of our territory, it's all everybody talks about. It's what our customers are coming to us for answers.
Okay.
And we're doing our best to try to come up with some answers.
Yeah. So could you kind of go a little bit deeper into that, like help our listeners understand what decarbonization is and how it's affecting the industry right now?
Well, a lot of people use the word electrification, and it's really about, decarbonization, getting the carbon out of the atmosphere. And a number of the states have passed laws that by a certain year they can no longer be using fossil fuels. And then the states were followed up by the cities. Seattle was first,
okay.
Followed by Berkeley, San Francisco, San Jose. So the cities are starting to push it. And we're also starting to see, like, the UC system in California. They're not going to allow you to do any new buildings using fossil fuels. So it's gone beyond the, just the laws by the states and government, and moved into the, into the people itself.
Wow.
You're starting to also see large companies, we've seen it in the Bay Area, promising to, reduce their impact or become negative, impact, kind of take back what they've done to the environment. And so when you have large companies doing that, you have to be ready to help them do that. And, we're doing everything we can to prepare to be ready to support their efforts and, have the right products to do that.
What are some of those challenges that you're helping your customers solve when, in light of this decarbonization effort?
Well, we're in the business of, pumping water. We either heat it or we cool it. And if you're heating hot water, it's traditionally done with fossil fuels. Your water heaters, your boilers, it's fossil fuels that heat the water. And now, especially here at AHR 2020, we're talking to different manufacturers, what other technologies are out there other than just putting an electric appliance in there to do that. And so that's, it's one of the reasons we're here too.
Yeah, we were speaking with Mark Hansel earlier today, and he was talking about how another challenge with decarbonization is the fact that the load that would happen for the grid would be unsustainable if it were to happen real fast. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that all comes together, and what can be done.
Well, what we see is it's typically done on new construction. There's, majority of the market is the existing market. They're not out there having people, rip out their gas lines and throw their boilers and water heaters away. But on new construction, they build a new building, they're not putting more gas lines in. And that's more of a slow, controlled growth into it. And that's how we're seeing that.
And that's probably the way that this change will be affected, right? It's, you get these lofty goals that people have, but it really starts, it's kind of a walk before you can run mentality, right?
Absolutely, yes. And we've heard talk from the utilities that, they'll probably, at least through our lifetimes, they will use fossil fuels at the power plants, but that can be controlled much better than it can on the individual buildings throughout our cities.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other trends that you're seeing in the Northern California, North Pacific Northwest area?
It's funny, the trends we were seeing are all of a sudden changing now because of decarbonization. We were seeing, water heating systems using less storage, using more instantaneous type heaters for your domestic water.
Sure.
The mechanical rooms were getting smaller, because the price of real estate and developers don't want to have their buildings full of mechanical equipment. And now with decarbonization, the technology we have today is very big. It just takes up a lot more space. There's more storage. So it's kind of a shift in where the industry was going to, okay, now we're going to need bigger equipment, more storage. And so everybody's very confused at this point.
Yeah, I would imagine. That sounds like quite a tall order, especially because, what we've been hearing is that they're basically squeezing out mechanical rooms in urban areas because they want to maximize leasable space, right?
Yes.
So I don't know how they're going to manage that with the larger equipment on top of the fact that, it's just less efficient.
And we see that throughout Northern California. In the Bay Area, it's got some of the highest real estate in the country. Mm-hmm. And, they do not want to take that type of space and put, mechanical equipment in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you get more for a parking spot for a car than you can for a lot of the different kind of equipment that we supply.
So, how has Bell and Gossett helped supporting your efforts out there? I mean, are there any important innovations or anything that Bell and Gossett has come to you with in the last couple of years that have been really well received by your market and really helpful to what you're doing?
Well, the rep network that all sells the Bell and Gossett product, which we call the FHRA, we have a very close relationship with Bell and Gossett, and we have a lot of great conversations throughout the country. There's a lot of great minds talking about this, talking to different manufacturers. It's not just a few people in the West Coast. It's a lot of people throughout the country working with Bell and Gossett, trying to come up with answers.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Do you feel like your approach, more being a West Coast rep, as you're kind of saying before we started, that things tend to start out west and then kind of matriculate across the country? Do you feel like people come to you as a resource?
Well, I mean, we definitely get teased more than everybody else, being a Californian and from Seattle.
Yeah.
We're the first to get picked on. But, we go back and we look at, there was, when they got mercury off the market, it started in California. When we got lead out of the products that we have throughout the United States, it started in California.
You're right.
There's many different things that start there. So yes, they typically, we'll get the phone calls like, what are you doing out there? And a lot of times it's like, we don't really know, but we're trying to figure it out and we could use your help. And the main focus, when we're talking today, it's not really about what's right or wrong or what's better. This is a drive that's going forward that you're not going to stop. It was like when we were taking mercury out of the product, you could sit there and say how good mercury is for controls and thermometers, but you couldn't have stopped it. It was coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that decarbonization, it may take longer than what the politicians wanted to take, but I do not think you're going to stop it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's too much power and people, and especially young people behind this. This is what they want, and they want a better world, and this is what's driving it. One of the things in the West Coast at CHC, we get a lot of input from the mechanical engineers. They're coming to us and they're telling them that the architects and the developers, they want them to design a building without fossil fuels, because they've always come to us. And one of the reasons they come to us as a representative distributor for Bell and Gossett, we have a special team, a group of people that all they do is talk to engineers. They don't sell contractors, they don't sell wholesalers. They strictly call on engineers, and we call that group business development. And that team, day in and day out, works with the mechanical engineers, and they've got really good relationships with them. And so there's a lot of good dialogue back and forth between the business development team and the mechanical engineers.
And what's interesting about the mechanical engineers is they influence the specification, but they don't actually make the decision, correct?
Well, they make a decision by specifying the product. The mechanical engineer's job is to represent the owner and make sure the owner gets good equipment that's efficient. His job is to represent the developer, the owner of the building. But they don't write a purchase order and say, I want to purchase this equipment. That typically goes through the mechanical contractors. It could go through a sales channel of wholesale suppliers that come back to us, and that's who we sell our equipment to, is the mechanical contractors.
So, two questions: how unique is that kind of group? Is that a unique section of your business to have in the industry, and how did that come about, that idea?
Today it's not as unique as it was when we first started.
Okay.
You go back in the 80s and 90s, it was very unique. As a distributor representative, to pay someone to go out and get specifications, and he doesn't bring any money in. He's not generating revenue at all. It could be a year away. And so a lot of companies didn't do that. At CHC, we felt it was a very important part of our business. Typically in the past, the salesperson that sold to contractors, that called on the wholesalers, also, called on the mechanical engineers. We've built a very good alliance with them because that's all they do. And if you go throughout the country today, there's a number of, manufacturers, representative distributors that do that.
Seems like a really smart approach to sort of keep your ear to the ground and hear what's going on and what's needed, and probably a two-way street, right? They're probably getting as much information from you as you're getting from them.
No, absolutely.
Market research.
If you go way back in my history, I did call on the mechanical engineers back in the 90s, and I learned a great deal from the engineering community. I would bring our products to them, try to educate them on how to apply it, and go through with their values, and they would help me understand systems better than I knew at the time. And it's a great relationship.
That's fantastic. We were talking about conservation earlier and how California and sort of the whole West Coast, sort of that hotbed area for whether it's water conservation, energy conservation, I mean, pretty much anything around sustainability, efficiencies coming out of that. And Xylem is doing some stuff around sustainability as well.
Yes.
And that is our Watermark program.
Yes.
And I know we made an announcement in the booth yesterday about launching Watermark 2020, which is basically an extension of our Watermark social investment program to the Bell and Gossett manufacturers reps, and inviting you guys to do 20 projects throughout 2020. So I know you guys have already done some great work in the Watermark space, and so it would just be great to hear your thoughts on that announcement, and if you have any sort of first plans.
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited to do it. As a team, we love to get together and do whatever we can for our communities, especially where our offices are. I feel like that's our second home. We spend a lot of time there. So when we did our first event, it was pretty easy to pick the sanctuary right there. It's in our backyard. We all piled over there in multiple vehicles, and we had a really great time. Everyone felt super fulfilled. And I think we were already thinking before that even ended that we would do another event. As Bob mentioned, we have other offices. We have a large office in Vancouver, Washington, and another one in Seattle, Washington. So I think the focus this time will be in that direction and kind of see where we can make an impact, get another group of our people, out there. So we're really excited about it. I think it's great, when Xylem came to me about it, and asked me to help organize something with CHC, and Bob asked, I was up for the challenge, and it was a great opportunity.
Sunday did a fabulous job in pulling it together. One of the things that goes on in a business is, businesses are about people. You take the people away and you got a bunch of cement buildings, office furniture, and steel out in the warehouse. And to run a successful business, you have to help people. And we have found with the baby boomers retiring, and we're getting more of the next generation coming into the business, as running a business, besides just the economic side of business, we have to look at the social side and environmental side. And by using Watermark, we've pulled all those together, and the next generation of people coming through CHC had so much fun. We're not just, hey, here's the economic thing we have to do. We're all here to help each other, and Watermark is a great platform for people to help each other.
That's great.
On our show, In the Field with Gould's Water Technology, the latest series covers tips and trainings for small business owners. Listen to all 5 episodes of the Small Business Toolbox series wherever you get your podcasts.
Speaking of the next generation, how have you, as you usher in this next group of young professionals, do you have any piece of advice for them, just as they're trying to break into this industry and maybe start a career?
Or why break into the industry?
Yeah.
In terms of attracting attention and attracting talent to the industry.
CHC is like all businesses. We're struggling with the next generation because they're not us. They're not the baby boomers. We were, we worked, until we could outwork the guy sitting next to you. I mean, we didn't have the best balance in life. But that's how we grew up. Our parents was the silent generation. And so now we have, a group of people for lack of other words, called the millennials. And, they have a more balanced life. It's not, their life isn't just about work. I can't sit there and run a business and say, we are doing it wrong. It's different than what we're used to. We're working with them. We have social committees that management does not sit in. And, they come to us and they tell us some of their wants and needs. Some of them we do, some of them we don't. But it's a good platform, and we're probably learning more than they're learning, to be quite honest with you, because it is a whole different group of workforce than what left business. The silent generation to the baby boomers. We just live differently than the generation coming up does. They're much more balanced life than we.
Sunday, from the marketing side, does that kind of shift, or even just a slight focus on the millennial or the new generation, does that impact your work at all in terms of how you position the company?
Yeah, so I'm the corporate manager for the company, and so though I have my boss that says, okay, pay her this week or whatever, I work for multiple departments throughout the company, and one of them is HR, and we work really closely. We meet, once or twice a month. We kind of go over different projects. It definitely affects, what am I taking a photograph of? Who am I taking a photograph of? What am I posting? What words am I using? Are we using hashtags this week? Are we not using hashtags? Like, all of those things change so much and go in and out of style. luckily I have 2 sons that are, one of them is millennial. So I kind of really pay attention to what drives him and, his friends and what they do to help support the work that I do in the company.
Sure.
The last thing I want to do is go out there and put something that just completely offends everyone we're trying to recruit. Another thing I've been doing recently is I've been working with a group of employees that actually manage our college recruitment program.
Okay.
So they'll go and do career fairs and things. So I've been working with them to kind of standardize the process and really hone in on what we need to present, what we need to talk about, what we need to show, what swag do we need to give out, like what's cool right now. All of those things that draw people in.
It's a really competitive job market, especially
extremely.
for skilled labor. Like
San Francisco and Seattle, it's almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is. It's because you're dealing with Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Apple. I mean, they're just taking everybody. One of the things, if I can, for Sunday, is she helped develop our webpage. Traditionally, web pages is where your customers went to find information. Web pages today, if you're interviewing somebody on the phone, you're talking to them, they're looking at your web page as you're talking to them.
Yeah.
So your web page has to be able to sell your business to new employees. Sunday did a great job building that, working with HR. Part of it too is your existing employees. There's plenty of people in a company that come in, you work in the shipping department, you're the receptionist, and it's like, what do you do? What do you really do? Our web page is, they can go home, they can open up the web page to their families. This is what we do. Here's what we're doing working. Here was our watermark event. Here's our videos. It allows our existing employees to go home and tell their families what they do. Helps build our relationships with our manufacturers like a Bell and Gossett. And what they've always were meant to do was, kind of be a photo or a gateway to your customers.
And they're all featured on the website. I don't use any stock photography, so everything there is employees and equipment that we actually have, in our warehouse. So the video, everything it's all employees. So.
And I think in the industry, or at least among Bell and Gossett reps, I think you are kind of seen as one of the reps who's kind of on top of social media and digital, like you're saying. Do you have any kind of takeaways or tips without giving away any secrets that have helped you?
No.
No comment.
I think of it as inspiring other.
I mean, it kind of sounds like
reps.
authenticity.
Right. I think it's just about being real.
Yeah.
I think, one of the main takeaways that I've learned in my long career in marketing, regardless of what industry, but I think it really applies to this one because there's such a wide range of generations working in this industry. You really have to be authentic and you have to be truthful. You can't say you're one thing and then act another way. If we say that we're going to be good to our environment and we're going to help, with projects like Watermark, and then we really have to step up and do it. You can't just talk the talk. Right? So I think that's one of the main things. I really like using our people and having customers and potential new employees, future employees, see who they're going to work with and know that these are our people. This is your future family that you're going to be working with, because we're a family. It's whether you're our customer or you're our employee, we are really, really tight.
That's great.
Yeah.
One of the things to help answer that question is a lot of companies, like we did in the past, marketing was done by sales and management. We're like, this is marketing, and we do it. We made the investment, almost 3 years ago. We hired Sunday. That's what she does. She knows marketing. It's not just, being in management or being in sales thinking we know marketing. So she brings a professionalism to it. And when she talks about the little things, we used to be like every other company. We'd have a refrigerator and pallets of water bottles everywhere. We got rid of those. If you have a meeting and there's water, there's a pitcher of water with glasses on the table. We try to walk the talk, and that was a hard change.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and with Sunday's help, and everybody's got, little logo, drinking containers and stuff now. And, we push it hard with her with that.
That's great.
That's her job. She pushes it. I mean, she pushes back with me and everybody else, especially in management. It's easy to slip, and she'll remind us when we're slipping.
Well, that's good where it kind of starts from the inside out. You're
Yeah.
you're giving people the tools to kind of promote and be proud of the company themselves too.
Yeah, I mean, we need, I'm one person.
Yeah.
I don't have a team of 10. So I really need to utilize my internal network to help feed out. So, I'm constantly like, are you following our Facebook page? Let me help you build your LinkedIn page. I've done that for a few employees. I try and be a resource to them. In the end, it helps me and the company. So
Yeah.
The scary thing is when you see Sunday coming down the hall with a camera. She has her camera. You're going to be on something.
Yeah, we're used to that.
I always tell new employees, or I'll tell their supervisors, did you mention that I'll be taking their picture at some point? So they know.
Yeah, I've learned it's good to give a day heads up so people can have the right outfit on and things like that. Yeah.
She doesn't do that to me.
No. You just got to be ready.
You just got to be ready.
You look great. So there you go. You don't have to worry about that. So what's next? It's, we're just kicking off a new year here, and what's on the horizon for CHC in 2020?
Well, as all businesses, the challenge is to continue to grow. And growth can be tough, but I think with the market disruptions that we're looking at today, decarbonization being one of them, modular construction being a second one, and the lack of a skilled workforce. It's 3 major market disruptions. We need to think about those, and how can we be ahead of the curve, be ahead of everybody else, so when you go through those market disruptions, we grow our business in that process. I don't like to use the word get ahead of my competitors, because a competitor is nothing but a worthy rival. Competitors make you better. And, I want to be able to look at those market disruptions and make CHC a better place and continue to grow.
Wow. Well, unless you have something else you want to add, I just want to thank you both for joining us today. I thought the conversation was really insightful. And I hope you have a great rest of your AHR.
Thank you so much. And it was
Thank
wonderful
you.
sitting outside doing this.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thanks.
much.
The Solving Water podcast is produced and distributed by Xylem, a global water technology company of more than 16,000 employees committed to solving critical water and infrastructure challenges worldwide. Stream, download, and subscribe